Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to see everyone here tonight, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives to be here. My name is Professor Heather Walter McCabe, and I am the faculty director of the MSL program, and I am fairly new to this role. And so I am excited to see everything that the current students have accomplished and what you all are going to accomplish over your time with us. I wanted to give you a little bit of a look at what we're going to be doing tonight. First, we're going to be doing what we're doing now. We're going to welcome each other, and you're going to meet some of the amazing people who help run this program and are in charge of it. We're going to do breakout exercises where you get an opportunity to learn more about each other and the program. You're going to get to hear from two of the professors that you're going to be working with over your time here, and then from some students who are currently in the program and can tell you a little bit about what they've experienced as they've gone through the program. Then we're going to have some time for administrative items and for each of you to ask any questions that you have. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. As I said, my name's Heather Walter McCabe. I'm an associate professor here and at the School of Social Work. I have a joint appointment. I'm newly appointed the faculty director of the MSL programs, and it has been wonderful. And I will tell you, it has been wonderful because there is an amazing group that works on these programs. Many of you already have had interaction with Nikki Taylor Vargo, the Assistant Dean of Non-JD programs, and Ashley Stalser, the Assistant Director of Non-JD programs, and our newest member of the team, Ryan Doss, who is an Academic Services Officer. And they have been amazing to work with, and I am sure you will find that to be the case to the point that you have not already. This program's well run because we have such a great group of folks leading it, and I am excited for you to be able to work with them. I've had experience working with master's programs before. I teach in the Masters of Social Work program. I also have a history with the JD MSW programs and JD MPH programs on other campuses. And so it has been a delight to see this MSL program get up and running. And I also am available to you if there are any questions or comments that I might be able to help with. So again, I wanted to welcome you to this event tonight. Thank you again so much for being here. And I am going to turn it over to Nikki Taylor Vargo, who is going to lead the evening with you all. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Professor Walter McCabe. So you actually stole part of my speech, but that's okay. Just kidding. I was going to introduce the team, but she's already done that, so that's great. As she indicated, you've probably already interacted a lot with Ashley right now, and Ryan is semi-new to the team. She's actually been working with us for a few hours each week, and now she's a full-time member with us. She'll be working a lot with our undergraduate students, but we want you to know who she is as well, because we all work to support the non-JD programs, which includes the MSL program. So we're all resources for you. So I just wanted to take a moment and welcome you to the program. I've been with the university since we launched, not the university, the law school since we launched the program. And it's pretty exciting to see our first group of students who started in winter 21, who just finished their last semester in the fall. And we actually have one of our student panels, Jared, who is going to be, you're going to be done after winter, right? Can't believe that. I feel like I just sat down with Jared and we talked about the program, et cetera. So what I could say to that is that the program goes very fast, even though you think, oh my goodness, 2 years, it will be here before you know it. So enjoy it, enjoy each other, learn from each other, network. Again, we're here to support you in any way we can, and we hope that you will reach out to us. So with that being said, I do want to give you an opportunity to get to know each other better. We're going to have a breakout exercise, and I think we only have 6 students here at the moment. Is that correct, Ashley? I think we have, I counted 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, 7. right? Okay, so let's go ahead and break down into a group of 4 and a group of 3. I'll let you guys go ahead and determine where that is. It looks like the majority of the students are on this side, so maybe we'll have you two come over here and join a group. So I'm going to let you go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to give you your assignment. Everybody have a group? Excellent. Okay, so we want you to choose a scribe. Okay, that person's going to take notes from your discussion, and then they're going to report out when we come back after probably 15 to 20 minutes. And what I'd like you to talk about with each other is, what do you hope to gain from the MSL program, right? So what are you hoping to learn? And then secondly, what is your biggest concern or worry about the MSL program? So I know many of you might have come in with some, I'm scared about the technology because it's online and I've never taken online courses before, or maybe I'm concerned about being able to balance work and studies now, or it's, I don't want to take them all away from you. So I'll go ahead and let you come up with them. But I'm going to go ahead and give you probably 20 minutes, because I know oftentimes when I get into a group, the first thing you do is you want to get to know each other. And then sometimes the conversation gets off on a tangent and bring you back. But when we have about 5 minutes left, I'll give you a warning, and then we'll come back together as a group, and then we'll report out on that. All right. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is David Moss. I'm an associate clinical professor at the law school. And I've got clinical in my title because most of my time I spend directing and supervising and teaching our disability law clinic, which is a law office within the law school that represents people with disabilities in civil matters, non-criminal matters involving disability discrimination, special education, Social Security, disability and SSI benefits, access to health insurance benefits, things like that. I've been here at Wayne for about 25 years. I think this is my 25th year, which is a long, long time. And this is going to be the third time, I think the third time I'm teaching civil procedure and introduction to dispute resolution for MSL students. The first time I did it, it was a very frightening experience for me because it had been probably 30 years since I took civil procedure as a law student, and I've never taught civil procedure to law students, but a lot of the work I do as a clinical professor involves being a lawyer for real people and supervising law students who are learning to be lawyers for real people in federal court, in state court, in administrative proceedings. So a lot of the examples that we'll use to learn about civil procedure and dispute resolution are examples that come out of disability type scenarios, because those are the ones that are both most familiar to me and nearest and dearest to my heart. But I try as much as possible to, because either all of you or most of you are either already human resource professionals or hoping to become human resource professionals, to use scenarios that involve employment disputes, either disputes between employers and employees, between employers and independent contractors, between employers and labor unions. You get the general idea. The course is Civil Procedure and Introduction to Dispute Resolution. Um, uh, Civil procedure is one of the required first-year courses for law students. For law students, what we're trying to teach law students to do is how to be litigators for clients. That isn't the goal for you folks. None of you, I hope, are planning to use what you learn in this program to go out and be lawyers. You want to learn about civil litigation and dispute resolution so you can do your jobs as human resource professionals more effectively. So I'm not trying to teach you what a lawyer would need to know about civil litigation, civil procedure. What lawyers need to know is how to resolve gray areas, questions where the law isn't clear. What you need to know as a human resource professional is what is clear? What must I know about litigation in order to effectively do my job as a human resource professional? And so we'll spend about a third of the course focusing on uh, how we determine what court is going to hear a particular dispute. Is it going to be in state court or in federal court? Is it going to be in the state of Michigan or in the state of Ohio or some other state? Um, uh, and um, and once we get through those first 4 or 5 modules of the course, we'll then turn to the litigation process itself, from how a lawsuit begins, which is with pleadings, a complaint, an answer to a complaint. Sometimes instead of an answer to a complaint, you'll get a motion to dismiss the complaint or a motion to remove the case, actually be a notice of removal of the case from state to court to federal court, or maybe a motion to transfer venue from one location to another. So we start with pleadings and service of process. We'll move on from that to joinder of parties and joinder of claims. How many different parties can be involved in the same lawsuit? What types of claims can be lumped together in one lawsuit rather than having to be dealt with in separate lawsuits? We'll look at the discovery process, how each side gets the information they need that's in the possession of the other side to a lawsuit. So discovery, pretrial motions, trying to narrow the scope of the issues for trial or to get the case dismissed before trial. And then the trial process itself, and then appeals. So that's about the second third of the course. And then the last part of the course is focusing on alternative dispute resolution, alternatives to litigation as a way of trying to resolve disputes, negotiation and settlement, mediation, arbitration, a variety of other alternatives to litigation as a form of dispute resolution. So I've talked about what the course is about and what I'm hoping you'll get out of it. Again, I don't expect you to be able to be a lawyer in in a litigation context, but to understand what you need to understand as a human resource professional in order to confer with your general counsel or with outside counsel about a case that might end up in litigation, to make informed decisions about what you're going to put in writing when you have a dispute with an employee, because that what you put in writing might be discoverable during the discovery process, etc. The course consists of 14 modules. each module is a separate universe. Each module will drop on Saturday morning, probably by about 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. And you will have until the following Sunday night. So not the next day, but the next weekend at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday to complete that module. So what is in a module? The module will start with a short video, probably somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes at the longest, introducing you to the topics that are covered in that module, the key terms and concepts that you need to understand by the end of that module. Then there'll be a page, this is all on Canvas, with links to readings and videos for that module. With one exception that I'll get to in a minute, all of the materials for this course are available free of charge on the web. Many of them you're going to link to from that web page on Canvas, and then you'll have to enter your Wayne State Access ID. For me, that's AE8896. You have your own access ID, and then put in your Wayne State password. I won't tell you what my password is. And that will get you free access to whatever book I've linked you to through a subscription from Wayne State's library system. Okay, so there are lots and lots of free materials. They're not really free, but they're free to us because you're students at Wayne State University. So there'll be readings and videos that you need to do for that module. Each module will have a set of exercises. My exercises tend to be open-ended questions. I'll ask you a question, maybe I'll give you a hypothetical situation relating to something that was discussed in the reading or in the videos, and then I'll leave you a box to fill in with text answering whatever question I've asked. Sometimes I'll ask you multiple choice questions and you'll just have to put whatever letter or number is the correct choice. Usually it's somewhere between, at the short end, 5, at the high end, 15 questions. They shouldn't take you more than an hour or two to complete the exercises. You're going to upload your responses on Canvas. It's pretty self-explanatory. I've got instructions for each module how to do it. So you're going to upload it. Unfortunately, you won't get instant feedback on your exercise answers. However, once the week is over, so once everybody has submitted their answers, I will upload to that same Canvas module a video that provides answers and explanations for all of the questions. Okay, so after the week is over, you'll want to go back and watch the video in which I provide the answers and explain the answers. And hopefully you got many or all of them right. But if you didn't, that's okay. Now you'll hopefully learn from my attempt to explain my answers to the questions. So we've got the introduction, you got the exercises, the materials that you need to read, the exercises that are due the following Sunday by 11:59 p.m. And then there's a discussion board post for each module. This is, they tend to be discussion questions. It'll be one question. I'll give you a scenario and I'll ask you to react. You'll post it on the discussion board as, I'm not sure who said it, so I'll just say in my course, you can't see anybody else's responses until you've posted your own. So you'll want to check back periodically after you've posted so you can see your peers' responses. And then by the following Sunday at 11:59, you'll need to reply to one of your peers' responses. So I want you to respond to the discussion question. I want you to read your peers' responses, and I want you to reply to at least one of your peers' responses. You're welcome to reply to as many as you have the time and patience and interest to reply to. In terms of, well, I'll get to grading in a second. Um, I think that's what a module consists of. So it's from Saturday of the first weekend until Sunday night of the second weekend. And then on Saturday of that second weekend, the next module will drop. In terms of grading, uh, the exercises are all worth 2 points. So there are 14 modules. Exercises are all worth 2 points. I grade completely based on, for this purpose, I grade completely based on making a good faith effort to try to answer the questions and timeliness. So as long as you do your best and submit it by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night, you'll get 2 points, right? So don't be embarrassed if you didn't understand. Just try. If you were completely flummoxed by a question, just say, I don't have a clue what the answer is here, but I'll sure look at the video that explains the answer. But do the, give it your best try. Don't try to fake me out if you don't have a clue. Just, I'm confused. I don't understand what this one is about. I'll still give you credit for it. So 2 points for the exercises, 2 points for your response to the discussion board post. Again, good faith effort and timeliness, and 1 point for the reply to somebody else's discussion board post. If my math is correct, that's 28 points for the exercises, 28 points for the discussion board responses, and 14 points for the replies to discussion board posts. That's 70% of your grade, all based on just timeliness and good faith effort. So nobody should be getting less than 70 points in this course. There's a midterm exam that's worth 10 points, 10% of your grade, and there's a final exam that's worth 20 points. Both the midterm and the final exam, I give you 3 hours. I give you many days to choose from to do it. Just make sure you pick a time when you're going to have 3 uninterrupted hours during that span of days. You'll know well in advance which days you have to choose from. And then you have 3 hours. It's not intended, those exams are not intended to take you 3 hours. My expectation is that if you've read the material and done the exercises and discussion board posts, you ought to be able to complete both of the exams in 1 to 2 hours, unless you're incredibly slow, like me. In which case you may use the entire 3 hours. You got 3 hours if you need it, but I'm intending that if you get interrupted by a child or a phone call, you'll still have plenty of time. I said that there is one book you're going to need to purchase. There is. It's called A Civil Action by Jonathan Harr, Harr. You can get it in paperback or hardcover, either through Wayne State's bookstore, through Amazon.com, through BarnesandNoble.com. You can buy it, you can rent it. If you buy it, you should be able to get a copy for somewhere between $10 and $20. If you're really cheap like me, you can get it used for somewhere between $2 and $3. It's a great book. It has nothing to do with human resources, sadly, but it's based on a real case. It tells the story of a real case that was involving civil litigation, and it just brings civil litigation process to life, and that's why I have you read it. and we'll discuss it at various points during the course of the semester. There are 6 live classes during the course of the semester. They are optional, so attendance is not required. If nobody attends, then there isn't going to be anything. I will record the classes, but if nobody's there and it's just me, there's nothing to watch. They're intended to be discussion classes. 2 of them are intended to be preparation for the midterm and the final exam. They're all scheduled on Monday evenings from 7 to 8 p.m. I did a poll of students in the class and everyone was either always available or sometimes available on at that time. That's why I chose it. If for some reason you can't make one of those classes, check online, check on Canvas a day or 2 after I'll have posted a link to the video. That's all I got. Any questions? Yes, sir. What day is? 8th is next Monday. So the first module, the syllabus and the first module are already available on Canvas, on the Canvas page for this course. Subsequent modules will drop, meaning I'll make them active on Saturday morning of the beginning, so not the 9th, I guess it's the 7th is Saturday. So the 14th will be when I will make module 2 available, and then every Saturday thereafter. No, you're welcome to do the first module now if you're a glutton for punishment, but yeah, I made it live so you can have access to it. It's going to vary from discussion board topic to discussion board topic. So I'll give you one example. Well, I'll give you the example of the first discussion board post. I ask each of you to tell us a bit about yourself, to introduce yourself, but also because the first module is about learning about the structure of the court system. I ask you to talk about all of the federal judicial districts in which you've lived and the federal judicial circuits in which those districts are located. Okay. So a reply to somebody's self-introduction might be, gee, isn't that interesting? I too lived in Minneapolis. I lived on, it's simply showing that you read somebody else's post, and I do give you a word range. So I think for the discussion board posts, I ask that they be 250 to 500 words. For the replies, I ask that they be, I think, 100 to 200 words. Basically, a paragraph is 100 to 200 words. Maybe a page worth of text would be 250 to 500 words. Does that help? I mean, some of the top discussion board, most of the discussion board posts are more substantive than the topic I just gave you, but they're about all sorts of different topics relating to litigation. So, yes, ma'am. Jonathan, I think it's Jonathan, Harr, Harr. Anyone else? Sure. I mean, yeah, it's a quick read. You probably, I mean, when you start it, you're going to want to probably ignore your day job and just read this book. It's a page turner. I wouldn't suggest reading the entire book at the beginning of the semester, because then by the time we get to where you have to post about things that happened in the last third of the book, you're going to need to reread it. So Anything else? Okay, I'm going to pass the torch.
Well, good evening. I've met some of you here. I'm Kathy White. I'm a professor of law here at Wayne State University. I've been teaching since 1996, so about 26 and a half years. And I'm primarily a patent lawyer, patent law, patent enforcement, and I teach contracts to the first-year law students. I've also I'm in the Army. I've been a lawyer for the Army for most of my career, but in the last 3 years, I have become Deputy Commanding General of the Military Police Command. So I have military police background now, and I'm a general officer in the Army. So I've taught at West Point, and this matters because the course I'm teaching you in the MSL program is called Government Organization and Regulation. And I taught a class similar to this to the West Point cadets, where we're looking very, very, yes, I would say, I want you to understand how this country works. And in law school, one thing we teach is we teach you how to think, how to discern, and how to look up information for yourself. And that's what I'm trying to impart, right? So we're going to look at the Constitution, and we're going to look at the precursor to the Constitution, the Articles of Confederation. So you can see at the country's founding why the Constitution is written the way it is, what was wrong prior to that. And then we're going to focus on the branches of government, right? The Congress. We're going to look at what the Congress powers are, and they're the most powerful branch. They have control of the money. And then we're going to look at the president and look at that executive power and what the powers of the president are, where the president is the strongest, where the president is the weakest. And we're also going to look at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's going to be huge because mainly since we're looking at constitutional type law, the Supreme Court interprets that Constitution. And there are some states that have, all the states have their own constitutions, but there's some state constitutions that are very specific, and their judiciary is not involved that much. Our Constitution is not specific, and it's quite old. It's it's really old, and it hasn't been changed that often. It was changed, of course, with respect to the Civil War, and when we got rid of slavery and had the 14th Amendment to provide equal protection. And then time and time again, we get another amendment, like the voting age is now 18 instead of 21, which is what it was. And then we're going to look at how the states relate to the federal government. What powers do the states have? And then we're going to look at how states interact with each other, cooperate, dispute, and how the federal government has supremacy in terms of the laws over states in certain areas. But there are areas where the states, the federal government has left things to the states, and we're going to talk about what that is. Now, you've probably learned a lot of this in school, but we're going to get into it. So you're reading the cases, you're going to read the documents, and I'm going to give you videos that talk about certain cases, and you'll see how they've unfolded. We're going to have videos that talk about current issues and what the law is, but where it might be going. And we're going to have a lot of videos about certain justices who may have had concurrent opinions that were not the majority opinion, and look at why they said what they said, and then now their version of how we read the Constitution today went and followed what they said in their concurrence. And there's some very interesting things going on right now. in the constitutional law professorate where there may be some very interesting opportunities in the Supreme Court that would not be predictable given where it's currently going. So we'll have some discussions about that. We'll also talk about the administrative state. So as HR professionals, you'll have regulations and rules and things like that. And we're going to talk about how those rules get interpreted, who interprets them, what is required to get judicial review over those interpretations, and the current state of how the Supreme Court views the administrative state and the role of the federal agencies in making rules and interpreting them versus what Congress says. And, Congress rules until they're vague right now. And there's some interesting new cases that are limiting the power of the federal agencies to make interpretations when their rules are not clear. So that's kind of the overview of, and you'll be able to have interesting dinner conversations with people when they make comments about things that you're like, that's not how it works. And you'll be able to talk about why it works a certain way. And that's exciting to have that kind of curiosity. And I'll probably post some podcasts that I hear. I'm very curious about all of this stuff. I might even give you some podcasts about this Speaker of the House thing that's going on once they start talking about that. And then in terms of my modules for you, I think I have 14 modules. It might be listed as 15 because the 10th week is a spring break, and I can't remember if I numbered that or not. But every module, things are due Wednesday at midnight, right? So you get the full day, and I kind of do everything on a Wednesday. That way you're not bogged down on the weekend with both classes. And you have quizzes. Primarily, I do have the perusal situation where you make comments in the PDF, and the instructions will be in the assignment, but usually you have to make 4 substantive comments. And I think reply to 2 or something like that, but it's in there, and it's the same for all the perusal assignments in terms of what your responsibilities are. Otherwise, I have quizzes. Quizzes will be multiple choice, matching, fill in the blank kind of questions. And they are graded, but you can take them over and over and over again. So you can get 100% if you want, or if you're satisfied with something else, you can keep that. Most importantly, I do have a syllabus quiz, which is the only thing you have as a quiz that is not retakeable. I say that because I really want you to read the syllabus. Really, really want you to read the syllabus. And so you want to read the syllabus very carefully. None of the quizzes are timed because you can retake them, so that didn't make any sense. And I did not time the syllabus quiz. It's short. Most importantly, your grades break down into 40% for the class participation, which includes the quizzes, the perusal, all of the assignments that I have that are there, mainly just quizzes and perusal. And maybe I think I have 1 discussion board. And I do have a document that tells you what a good answer to a discussion board is. It's in the introductory section. And in module 1, I have an introductory module and then the substantive module. Module 1 has for you to fill out a privacy and confidentiality agreement where you read what is required and then you put in your first name and last name. Not a middle name, not a middle initial, first name and last name. And if you have trouble, let me know, because I'm putting in everybody's name, and if I type somebody's name wrong, it won't work. So hopefully I typed it right. And that then it's a 3-point, you get 3 points for doing that, but you have to do it. And then I have a request for introductory videos. If you have already done an introductory video for this, somewhere to introduce yourself, you can use that. I think most of you are new students, so you probably haven't done that yet, but if you have done one, you don't have to do a new one for me. And really what I want you to do is, read, listen to somebody else's video and make a response so that you get to know each other. And then, let me see what else. I do give you each week a video where I set the kind of the scene of what we're studying, the context for what we're studying, and maybe point out certain things that I think are key or important. Often there are concurrent opinions or, something that's not the majority. I often want to point out a Supreme Court justice's opinion and have you reflect on it and think about it. We will have 4 synchronous sessions. They will be 1 hour each. I do not have the dates set for those. In that homepage of the Canvas site, I have a link where I've asked you to tell me in a poll, it's called When is Good, the days and times you're available, not the dates and times, but the days and times. And if there's some consensus there, then I will provide dates and then kind of put those out there and, individually you can let me know that won't work for me, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't, instead of doing another poll, I think I can just finagle that pretty easily. Are most people working at night or most people working during the day? Day? Anybody working at night? That helps. Okay. And I teach on Tuesday night here. And so I cannot do Tuesday nights. So it'll be some day other than Tuesday because I will not be available at that time. And questions that you might have. Classes start, yeah. But what it is, I load Monday the week before. So you're always a week ahead of when you start. Let's put it this way. Yeah. So classes, for me, pretend the class is a Wednesday class instead of pretending it's a Monday class. Pretend it's a Wednesday class. And you will always get your assignments a week before anything is due. And you'll always be able to see you're going to read the week before. And then anything that you do will be due a week later or 2 weeks later. It will not be due before a week. Does that make sense? So you should be able to read it a week ahead of time and then usually do a week later. If for some reason I did that wrong, let me know because, trying to get these dates straight. And everything should be due at midnight. Occasionally there's a default to 5 p.m., which is not intentional. So if you see that it's wrong, and just let me know. Okay. Yeah. Email it, so in Canvas, you can just go on, it says on the left side, people, and you just click on me and then you can just send me an email. And I also have my email listed on the syllabus and it's linked. If you, instead of downloading the syllabus, you just open it and you should be able to just go ahead and send me an email. So that shouldn't be a problem. And if for some reason something goes really wrong, Nikki will always be able to help you with an answer. Yeah. And I do have some Wayne State University resources that are available to you listed in the introductory page. Some people might have some technology problems. You can, Wayne State has an opportunity to assist you with that. And I just have a little list of different resources that are available for free and confidential for students. And also you can always contact Nikki as well. If you have something pressing that needs to be dealt with, we really want to make sure we're here for you. Yes. Synchronous. Oh yeah, synchronous. Yes. No, Synchronous means we are going to be meeting on a Zoom link at the same time. We're going to do that, you know, that's 4 times. And we're going to pick times that everyone can make it. And the idea is, you know, we're just checking in with each other. Usually it's, you know, every 4 weeks or so, but it could be a little earlier in the beginning just to make sure we're kind of on track. People can ask questions. Normally what I do is I will, for the synchronous session, have a question out there that we're going to talk about. Maybe we'll do a breakout session, but I always leave time for questions when we do that. I don't want to take up all the time with work. It's important that you have an opportunity to ask questions if you need to. And I usually will stay a little later if people, you know, still have some questions and, you know, the hour's up, you know, to do that. Me and the whole class will all, it's like we're all in here, but on the screen. And it will not be in person, it will be virtual. The Zoom link is on the homepage of the Canvas site. The Zoom link will be in each module, like in the module the week we do the test. It's always the same link. It will also pop up in the calendar. So you'll have a calendar on the side and it'll show you when things are due. It automatically populates the dates and times things are due so that you can see it. Because it's a little difficult. You go in the module and you're like, oh, that's due January 18th. And that doesn't mean a lot until you see it. And there's a calendar and it'll say, you know, quiz 1 due such and such date. Yeah. Yeah, that poll is already in the Canvas site. It's on the home page and it, you know, there's an introduction, it says introduction at the top and it will be, the syllabus is available there. And I ask you to click on a link. It's called When is Good. And it'll pop up for Monday times like 8 through 8 or something like that, not Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not Saturday and Sunday. So just, it'll be a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I would ask you now, but I think there are people who are not here that I need to know their answer to. So I'm just going to take a look at all those this week. Not before school starts. I think I said it should be due. You should do it by the 11th if you can, which is the date, Wednesday, so that I can begin to schedule our first session. And I'm going to try to schedule them all if you're generally always available on those times. There may be a date that's not good for you. And I will pick 4 times. And if somebody says, you know, I really can't make it, I will try to, you know, I want everyone to make it. So we're going to do everything we can. Things will come up. And if for some reason you can't make it, something happens at work, you got to stay late, we will record the session. And I'm happy to set up a time with you if you had some questions that you would want to ask and you didn't have a chance to. You can do that. I also have office hours that are virtual that you can attend as well. Yeah. Yes, so the link to the ebook is in the syllabus and the name of the company. It's like a www.cengage.com and the name of the book is there as well. And so you can go there and purchase that. There's 2 volumes of the book. And in my modules, I have the abbreviation for that book is ACL, American Constitutional Law, and there's volume 1 and volume 2. Interestingly, pay attention to volume 1 or volume 2, because even though you would think all the topic would be all volume 1 first and then sometimes it jumps. So you'll know the topic and you'll see the cases I want you to read in that book along with the page numbers. And if you're looking, you're like, that's not the right page, go, oh, the other volume. Yeah. You need both of the books. Yeah. And I think you buy them separately. Yeah. But I don't think they're that expensive. At least that's not my recollection. Of course, we may have a different idea of what expensive is because lost books are ridiculous. And this is not that kind of price. Yes, ma'am. class participation, and the 60 is the final. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, 60 is the final. And the final, it's something, I think I set the date and time already, but on the syllabus. I think it's May 5th is when it starts at like 11 o'clock. That's a Friday, if somebody can look that up. And then on May 8th at 11 o'clock on Monday would be the end point, and you could any 3 hours in that time frame of the exam. I don't know. I haven't written it yet. Great question. Woo! Oh, I'd like to know. I think I do. Well, I make it, it is not an essay thing. Yeah. So it will be multiple choice, fill in the blank, matching, it'll be something like that. And the Canvas is pretty cool because you can randomize the questions so that you can't call each other easy. It's gonna be difficult. Figure that out in 3 hours, but I think I give you about 3 hours to do it. But you will have already done a lot of these kinds of questions, so you won't be, it won't be, oh, what on earth could she be asking me? You will have had similar questions. And then what else? Any other questions? Yes. Yeah. The same quiz every time. Yeah, same quiz every time. The randomized questions for the quizzes aren't randomized, it's just the exam. Yeah. And it's randomized for each person. I think I can look that up, but I don't care. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do encourage, and Nikki said the same thing, right? You can get 100%. 100%. Right. Just keep doing it. Some people, you're busy and you can't do it, and I get it. But you'll learn too. Yeah. I think it's kind of nice. I wish I had that because it takes away all the stress. You'd be amazed how much easier it is to take a quiz when you don't feel like, oh no, the question, I want you to learn. I don't want you to just have anxiety, right? So, other questions? Yeah. Sure. Well, yeah, you could do that. Maybe Jared could answer that question.
So, oh, it is working. So yeah, me and other students have gotten together and done study groups, or we done Zoom groups and stuff like that. And how Professor White has said, like the tests and everything do randomize per student. But you're learning the material together, right? So at least you are formulating ideas and study habits that can work together. Because the way that I learn may be different how you learn, but maybe we can come up with a method that actually works together to learn like, oh, okay, this is how I remember the 3 branches, right? And this is why this case works with this, and this is how it relates to HR, and the president's powers for international relations aren't listed in the Constitution, and this is why, correct? And we learned this because it relates to HR because of Y, X, Y, Z, and everything ties down X, Y, Z because of this, right? And everything funnels down, and we all learned this because blah, 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 blah. So when you work together, and I'll talk about that in a minute, you learn more that way, right? And like there's power in numbers, so absolutely. And I learned all that from Professor White. See, she was my first professor when I started here, and look, I still remember what she taught me.
So that people like Jared would be like, I've brainwashed him. He is now in my, school of thought. Yeah, exactly. He says exactly what I do. Yes, I've won. No, yeah. So I don't have anything further if you don't have any other questions. I'm gonna hand it to Ashley.
All right, thank you. So now we are going to start with Jared. So Jared, you want to come up here?
Yeah, of course.
Jared is one of our current students. If you haven't met him yet, he has just full of good information. He's here for
Hopefully.
you all to learn from. Um, you are not roaming uncharted territory, so you don't have to create a new path. Jared is here for you to learn from him. He's full of great advice. We have some prepared questions in case you all don't have any, but this is really for your benefit, and for you to learn more and ask more about the experience you're about to go through. So I would much rather open it up to you all to ask the questions you have before I kind of jump into mine. So right off the bat, do you all, well, I guess we'll start with letting Jared introduce himself. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jared Gajos. I am the current director of human resources for a local city. I guess I'll just say Hazel Park. We border Detroit to the north. It's a 2 by 2 mile city. I have worked in human resources for 7 years. I had no plans to go into HR. I did an undergrad through Michigan State at the Residential College of James Madison. I had planned to kind of work at the local level and then work my way up into international relations. And then I started working at HP and they said, oh, well, we kind of have a vacancy in HR. Would you be interested in working in it until we find a director? And I said, sure, why not? And then that's kind of where I've been for the last 7 years. So it's kind of been a journey, but I love it. Look where I ended up with all of you guys. You know, I get to meet cool people and everything. And I've really liked how the shoe fits. You know, you never know how life is going to turn out the way it does, but it worked out. So that's where I'm at right now. It's a really great time. So I hope I can answer your questions.
So before I start with some of our kind of prepared questions, do you all have any questions off the bat? Yes. So go ahead, and how I'm going to do this is you can ask your question, try to be loud, but I'm also going to repeat it for the sake of the recording. But go ahead. Yes.
Of course. So
Sorry,
so
Jared.
no,
Just to repeat the question was, how do you kind of balance work life? How many classes should you take if you're working? All of that. Go ahead.
yeah, so I know the program recommends that well, they give you 6 years to complete everything, correct? And so I am someone that is very like I want to get everything done as quickly as possible because I'm just tired. Yeah, I'm one of those people who just like I'm tired, I want to go to bed, I don't want to do anything. So I'm currently taking I did 2 each semester. And so I did 2 my fall semester, 2 winter, 1 in the summer, 2 fall, to this upcoming winter, and then I'll have 2 in the summer, but technically it's not really 2, it's your capstone with like a weird summer class or whatever, and then I'm done. So I did it in 2 years. So it's pretty nice. But I did it working a full-time job. I do sit on a couple boards and commissions. I work for a nonprofit as well. And it is hard, you know, but you learn to balance it after your first semester. I would say is when you really get a hang of it. You'd start to see like where can you fit this, when can I do that, especially each semester you kind of get a little bit like you learn with each professor. Like Professor Wright does it on Wednesdays, Professor Moss does it on Saturdays. After like 2 weeks with each new professor, you kind of get the hang of it. But after a while you start to get that like the ebb and flow, right? And for me, um, I kind of was like, I'm going to do my things like Thursday, Friday nights, Saturday, Sunday mornings, right? Get everything done in the mornings and the weekend. So I still had the nights. And then I looked at my weekdays and I said, what days were easier for me when I didn't really have a lot going on? That way I still had time for myself because mental health is important. I preach that to my employees. And we want to make sure that we're not overstressing ourselves, right? And then of course, when midterms and finals come around, you know, you definitely want to schedule a bit more time for that. But still focusing on yourself because you don't want to burn out and everything like that. And then that reflects into your grades. And then you're going to be upset with yourself and XYZ. So
A tip that I was given when I had started law school was before you even start, think of one just like personal hobby that you have. Whether that is going to the gym or running or dancing or writing poetry or doing art or volunteering at the dog shelter. What's just like one personal hobby that you have? Write that down and don't forget about it. Just because you are now in the MSL program, you're not going to lose who you are. Your identity doesn't have to change. At times, you'll kind of forget because you're so into work and school and family and life and everything else. And when that happens, you'll just pull that note card or that piece of paper out. You'll say, okay, this is who I am. I need to do my thing for a minute. And that'll kind of take you back a little bit and help you with that balance as well.
That's a really good, like, so I'm currently writing a book just to kind of help take my mind off things. And that's kind of like what I do to de-stress for success is what I say. So
There you go. De-stress for success. I'm actually just going to walk around with the mic so you all can say it and I don't have to repeat.
So this program, what did you find it made you? Did you find that this helped you be a better HR director?
yeah, so I would say in my first semester, not only did I have Professor White, who taught me kind of how working in local government tied into HR, right, which was really beneficial. But I also had a class called Working with Lawyers, which taught me about contracts, right? And because I work with a lot of unions, I work with the police and fire union, I work with Teamsters, clerical, all that. So we have like 9 unions in our city. It taught me how to go back and look at our contracts and say, like, maybe we're missing something. What isn't similar here? What are we, what can we improve, right? And that was just in the first semester, which is really awesome, to be able to go back and sit down with our city manager, our legal counsel, our finance director, and say, can we improve this in some way, shape, or form? And what can we do differently next time that the negotiations come around? And that was really cool just to do that within the first 6 weeks, you know? And so, like, you know, there's always something to learn from every class. And if you go in with a mindset of what can I use from this class to apply for my job, or apply to my job, or apply just in my life in general, then I feel like you're going to find something beneficial.
I guess it's kind of a question, but it's kind of a statement too. So you said what you can learn from your education and then immediately apply it to your current work situation. Did you, when this program came about, how did you feel that this particular program, Masters of Study in Law slash HR, was more beneficial than just a master's program elsewhere in HR? What did, what made you decide that this was more beneficial to your job than just a regular master program where you would have emphasis on HR, if that makes sense?
That makes sense. So I feel that, like, and you'll learn this with each professor that you take. So we're non-lawyers, right? And so we don't practice law. We don't have a JD or anything like that. And so that I feel that as HR professionals, people just think that we just do onboarding, right? We just do healthcare. We walk in and we just say, hi, welcome. Thank you for being a part of our job. Here's some candy. Have a great day. I wrote your birthday card. Goodbye. That's it. Or we terminate someone and we kick them out. And that's not all that we do, right? There's so much more to HR than that. There's risk management, right? We're constantly thinking, what does losing 12 employees do to our overall like atmosphere of the workplace, right? If we don't have, for example, for me, if I don't have 7 cops working on a shift because we lost them all because we can't hire them, we now have a public safety issue, right? That's a risk to the city, right? And so am I doing my job if I'm not going to a job fair, right? So then I have to work with lawyers to say, like, okay, what can we be doing for the public safety? Do we have to bring in additional services that can help with this? Are we allowed to do that? Can we talk to our insurance providers? Do we have XYZ to do this? And I feel that in a regular HR master's, because I have a friend that currently works for the city that has that, he didn't learn these kind of things, right? He didn't learn from lawyers who taught him, you know, this is what you learn from about, you know, like the state government. You didn't learn about the federal government. You didn't learn about if we had a car crash with in another state, where do you end up with the jurisdictions and stuff like that? You didn't learn about that kind of stuff, right? But we do. And I think it just makes you more well-rounded, right? Because just in case you have these questions and you're learning about this risks and stuff like that, you're able to understand conversations that are happening in the room around you, and you're able to engage in them and not provide feedback or anything, because we're not lawyers, but be able to just understand and acknowledge and say like, yes, I know what's happening. I can at least engage to a degree, right? And say like, I understand what's happening. I know what my next steps are and everything, instead of having people perceive me as someone that just does some onboarding, comes in at the end and just says like, oh, okay, I'm writing you off. Goodbye. Right. I can now say like, I can contribute more to the room than what was expected before. And I feel like that's what this program does, is give you a bigger piece of the pie than what was what was expected before, if that makes sense. Cool. Yes.
With this program, have you guys found that the world of HR in general is more advanced now, more technical, more, what am I trying to say?
Yeah.
Maybe a lot more of whatever than what it used to be,
Yeah,
which requires these skills that you will learn?
yeah, I would say so. I mean, just looking at COVID, for example, right? I had to change like my whole perception of HR with COVID, right? I went from just being like a general HR director, who, like how I just described, hi, hello, welcome, XYZ, blah, 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 to now being this person that had to learn a whole new job about, do they have their cards? Do they have these requirements from the CDC? Did we learn this 525-page document from the federal government? Okay, now we have to do all these requirements and stuff. And that was just one thing that happened, right? There's so many more things that happen in HR than I think people think about all the time. And you learn that when you are taking these classes. Once you get past your core classes, you can go into like your specialized classes, right? Like your union classes, you can go into your employment discrimination classes, you can go into your other class, whatever it may be. But you learn about these things, about why learning federal laws, state laws, and stuff like that is so important, because it teaches you there's so much more than just the surface level to HR, right? It's not just the hi and hello, it's what those posters that we put up that say like use Sarah and workman's comp and stuff like that, right? When you look at those, you want to be able to understand them and why they were put in place in the beginning, right? Why were they made? And that's what this program is teaching you. And so when they send you off and leave, like allow you to leave here in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it may be, they want you to be that person that can explain it in a way that people understand, and I think that's what they want us to do here, if that makes sense. So.
Do we have any other questions? Yes.
Just one last question. Was this completely virtual program developed because of COVID, when every business was sending everybody saying, go work from home?
That I actually don't know that one. So I got sent this from my employer, and I was the second cohort to go through this. So I don't know if Ashley knows that or not. Like I don't, was it born out of COVID, Ashley?
So MSL programs were not born out of COVID. They existed prior. The real goal of a Master of Studies in Law is there are a lot of professionals out there who don't want to be practicing attorneys, yet the field that they work in is heavily involved with the legal field. And unless you're earning your Juris Doctorate, a lot of legal education is really hard to come by. It's really hard to find. It's really hard to have access to. And the goal of the Master of Studies in Law program is to make that legal education accessible to individuals in other fields. Now, our MSL program is newer, as you all know. Dean Taylor Vargo mentioned earlier, our first cohort was winter of 2021. We hope and plan to continue growing and adding new concentrations because, as I'm sure you all know, human resources is not the only field that is heavily overlapped with law. So it's I think MSLs were kind of born out of the idea that it's not just attorneys who need legal knowledge. There are a lot of people who need a better understanding of the law, and we got to make that accessible. And how do we do that without requiring everybody to have a Juris Doctorate? So that's kind of, I think, where the MSL kind of comes from, or the idea behind it, at least.
Putting all this together, I see that it's reducing liability, understanding what could create liability,
Correct.
and then in HR, because you know it's quasi-legal, everything you do creates liability or potentially. So here we are.
You
I
just,
think it's beautiful.
yes, you just figured out the MSL like mantra right there, because that's kind of what we're doing, is trying to, without going into like, without being a lawyer and giving lawyer advice, because that's what Ashley does. We are trying to figure out how to reduce liability without having to consult lawyers as much, right? Without having to spend all of our funds on that. But also just trying to understand as much of the iceberg that is HR in general, right? I think people just see HR as, like I was saying, that surface level of the water, but there's so much more deep down that goes into it. And I think that this is what that program is teaching you. And what more can you offer to your employer or to another business? How can you make yourself more marketable if you are learning so much more about being like a non-lawyer and everything, right?
And I think, as Jared kind of said, it's mutually beneficial, right? Employers will save money and not have as many worries regarding liability. And you are more valuable to the company because you're the one who has that knowledge. You're the one who can provide that. You're the one who can tell the company, the business, the entity you're working with, hey, we need to call the lawyers in for this, versus, no, we can save that money. We don't need to call them in. This is what we got to do. And so having access to that legal knowledge provides you that additional value in your professional work experience. But companies love it because it saves them money. So it's mutually beneficial for the both of you. Theoretically, let's hope for that. Yes, absolutely.
Everyone likes a higher wage.
Don't we all? All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, with that, we will thank Jared. Thank you for providing all of your great knowledge. Jared is a current student. He is here to be a resource for all of you. Just because orientation's over, I'm sure he's happy to answer any questions you have. So if you want to talk to a student who's gone through the program, who's had these classes that you're taking, we have his email. I'm sure we can, Jared, can we share your email with
Yes,
everyone?
Yeah, of course. So
There
I've
we go.
had I did this last semester, whenever it was. And I actually had a couple students reach out to me and I helped them with whatever they had and everything. So any questions you guys have as you navigate through the courses and stuff like that, I'd be happy to help. So
Awesome. Thank you, Jared. So let's switch mics here. Now that we spoke with Jared, we got to get into some boring stuff. It's a little boring, but it's really, really important that you all know this stuff. It's the last couple of little portions here of the night. I know it's a long day, but just stay with me while we chug through this, and then we'll be good to go, okay? So we need to talk about academic regulations. The academic regulations are available for all of you online. Definitely encourage you all to take a gander at that because it's going to tell you what you need to graduate. It's going to give you a lot of information. It's going to tell you what good academic standing is, what types of grades you need in order to successfully complete a course versus graduating, all of that information. Lucky for you all, I have read them time and time again. So I pulled out some of the highlights here for you. Still definitely encourage taking a look at them. But in order to graduate, there are a few things you really got to make sure that you're focusing on. First, you of course need to successfully complete all of your courses. That includes your 4 core courses, as well as your concentration courses and your capstone course. In total, it's going to be 11 different courses. And each of you, if I haven't met with you already, we will be meeting each semester to review your plan of work, which is like a path to graduation. Some of you might have gotten lucky and got to meet with Dean Taylor Vargo because I had a nice vacation in December, so I missed some of you. But moving forward, you can kind of expect every semester you're going to be talking with me, reviewing your path to graduation. If you're ever thinking about changing your courses, the order that we have them set in, maybe it's something in life happens, that's okay. Just reach out to me. That's the joy of a flexible online program, is we can work with your schedule and what you need to do, but we got to make sure that you get through all of these courses. Additionally, you're going to have to complete at least 2 of the 4 core courses prior to enrolling in the concentration courses. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule. If we need to look at an exception if something's going on, then we can do that. But generally speaking, you need to take 2 core courses prior to enrolling in a concentration course. That's because those core courses are that legal foundation. That's where you're going to get the information that you need to understand prior to getting that concentration course, where you're taking that base layer and then adding the intersectionality of human resources into it. If you're looking at employment contracts, it's a lot easier if you understand a contract and then look at the contract when you add employment into it. So that's kind of the theory, I guess, behind why you need to try to take some of these core courses before the concentration courses. Additionally, you need to successfully complete all of your core courses, as well as at least 4 of the concentration courses prior to enrolling in your capstone course. Your capstone course is going to be an experience that's similar to like an independent or directed study. You'll work with a professor and you'll do a paper or a project or something along those lines, where you're taking everything that you've learned in the program and you're putting it into one kind of place. So we want to make sure that you have the foundation of all those core courses and as many of the concentration courses as possible before you dive into that project. Now, we've said a lot about successfully completing courses, but we haven't touched on what that means. In order to successfully complete a course, you have to have at least a C in a grade of a C in that course. Now, in undergrad, other programs, sometimes you hear C's get degrees, right? But unfortunately, that's not the case here. Though you do need to have a C minimum to successfully complete a course. In order to be in good academic standing, you need to have a grade point average of a 3.0. So if you have a C at some point, you're going to need to also have an A somewhere to kind of level that out. So aim for those A's. If it's really tough and you end up with a B, it's okay, because it's still, you know, you're still going to be in good academic standing. If you get a C, we'll talk. Be aware, you know, we're going to have to make some adjustments. That's part of why we're going to meet every semester, though, so that we can make sure that we're watching your academic progress. If we need to make adjustments, if we need to look at what the issue is, if we are overworking ourselves and we need to cut back from 2 classes to 1 class, we're going to have those conversations to make sure that you are able to not only successfully complete a course with a C, but successfully complete the program in good academic standing with the B average, at least. Of course, we want you all to have 4.0 though. So, you know, make sure you're putting in your work. You're going to have to do a lot of hard work, but it'll be worth it. And then the last important portion for this that I want to touch on, you heard Jared talk about, you know, you could do a 2-year path. You can do 1 course a semester. You've heard me talk about how it's a flexible program, and we'll, you know, touch semester to semester what we need to do. Important to note, though it's a flexible program, you do need to complete all of the course requirements within 6 years of commencing the program. So your timer for that 6 years will start this semester, because you're starting the program this semester. Even if you do 1 course a semester, that's within a 6-year period.
Just be cognizant if you need to step away from the program, something happens and then you want to come back, we're going to have a conversation to make sure that we can still get you in that 6 years. Okay. Most of you have already spoken with me and we've talked about the core courses, but there are 4. The 2 that are offered this semester are Professor Moss's Civil Procedure and Introduction to Dispute Resolution, and then Professor White's Government Organization and Regulation. In the fall semesters, we generally offer Working with Lawyers and Survey of the Common Law. So if I haven't met with you yet, we're gonna meet probably tomorrow or the next day. Those of you that I've already met with, you know, when you're taking these courses, we like to try to get them out of the way because you're going to be building on these. They're like the foundation of the building blocks that you're going to be learning as you go throughout those concentration courses. Here, you'll see the concentration courses with the capstone down here at the bottom. Oops. So there are going to be 6 different concentration courses. As I said, this is where you're going to start intersecting that basic legal knowledge with human resources. So employment law for human resources, employment discrimination, labor law and practice, employee benefits, dispute resolution, all of those different things. And then here you'll see we've kind of broken it up. So ideally you want to try to get these core courses in there, followed by the concentration with completing with that capstone course, which again is going to draw on the concepts that you've covered in all of your courses throughout the program. And you're going to focus on maybe a specific problem that you've experienced at work and you see some intersectionality with the work that you've been, the different theories and ideas you've been studying throughout the program. And that's nice because not only does it give you an opportunity to show all that you've learned and all the hard work you've done throughout the program, but whether you're trying to climb the ladder in the company you're currently at or navigate into a new position, it's a nice piece to kind of add to a portfolio or something like that to show, you know, not only can I walk the walk, but I can talk the talk. I have this knowledge. Here's an example of that. In terms of these courses, I know you've heard from Jared and the professors and Assistant Dean Taylor Vargo. You can estimate about 6 to 10 hours per week per class. That's going to be your modules, your discussions, the mini lectures, the quizzes, all of that. Now, to get an estimate of kind of how much time you're going to be spending, your first semester is probably going to be a little more. You know, you're transitioning back into a program while figuring out how to balance this and life and work and everything else. And also those core courses are probably going to require a little bit more. We have some students who come from paralegal programs. Those core courses will be, you know, sometimes a little bit easier for them in terms of the time requirements, but then getting into the concentration, if you come from an HR background, that's where you'll kind of start seeing familiar things where you might be closer to that 6-hour mark instead of the 10-hour mark. And then, so with those core courses coming from paralegal, you might spend closer to 6, HR, you might spend closer to that 10 because you're not familiar with those legal basics, foundations, principles, all of that. I kind of touched on this, but plan of works, I've met with most of you, or Dean Taylor Vargo has. Each semester we're going to meet. So for example, for this winter semester, I started meeting with students in November. For the spring summer semester, probably meet around March, maybe early April. For fall semesters, we'll meet in August. So just know that's something that we're going to have to do each semester. If you're not making any changes, it'll be a quick 15-minute, hey, how's everything going? Any questions, comments, concerns? If you are looking to make changes, then we'll adjust. We'll make sure we're on the same page. I don't want you thinking you're going to graduate in, let's say, May of 2026. And in reality, you have 10 more classes that you need to do and you're not graduating for another 3 years. So this is our way of checking in, making sure that we're all on the same page, making sure you understand what still needs to be done to meet your program requirements, as well as, of course, making sure that you are in good academic standing. When we do these meetings, we'll talk about, do we want to do 2 courses each main semester and 3 credits each summer, which is kind of the 2-year path. Do we want to do 1 course a semester? Do we want to mix and mingle? Do 1 course to start, move into 2 courses? You know, Maybe you have one semester where maybe you have a child who's a senior in high school and it's their last semester and they have prom and they have senior pictures and they have graduation and they have senior night and they have all these things. Maybe you've done 2 classes every semester, but this semester it's just not happening. That's okay. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out a path and we'll make sure that we're on the same page and that we can get you to graduation. Very important, make sure if you haven't already that you look at your academic calendars for this winter semester. Also very important, note that the law school academic calendar, as well as registration and all of those other things is different than main campus in the graduate school. The Master of Studies in Law is a graduate level program. However, it's within the law school. So you might receive an email from the graduate school saying, hey, registration opens on Monday, October 20th. And then you receive an email or October 20th comes around and you try to log in and it's not letting you. That's because you need to look at the law school academic calendar. The law school dates are going to be different. Our exam periods are different. Everything is different. So don't be alarmed if things aren't matching up. Just know that the law school is on a different calendar. Okay. Very important for winter 2023, the add drop deadline is Monday, January 23rd. What that means is if you drop a class after the 23rd, you may still have to pay the tuition for that course and it won't show up properly on your transcript and everything else. So if you're considering making any changes to your winter 2023 schedule, you need to talk to me and we need to make sure that that's done before the 23rd. Okay. So let's talk briefly about the Wayne Law 101 Canvas page. Several of you I know have already accepted the invitation. Some of you have received an invitation, but probably just haven't seen the email yet. If we're having issues with your Access ID or anything like that, then you probably haven't received the invite yet. But everyone will have this access to Wayne Law 101 Canvas before courses start. When you log into Canvas, you're going to have different pages. So you'll have a Wayne Law 101 page, which is kind of like an orientation, student affairs. This is where you can go to find everything page. You're also going to have a different page for each of your classes. So on the orientation one, you'll see there's an opportunity for a self-introduction video. If you haven't picked up on it already, we are fully aware we're an online program, yet students still want to build those connections. That's part of why we have this in-person orientation. That's why everybody's offering you opportunities to do self-introduction videos so that you can start getting to know one another, even if it's behind a screen or miles and miles apart from one another. You can also find your books that you need, various resources that the university offers you, technology help, workshops. If you don't remember, there is a workshop tomorrow night. And I'll show you where to find that. So this is what the Wayne Law 101 page looks like when you log in, except you won't have this purple border. I have the purple border because I'm viewing it as a student right now. But when you actually log in, you won't have that purple border. When you log in, you'll see there's kind of some intro information and lots of different little modules here. Now, depending on the type of computer you're on, it might look a little bit differently. I like my Mac, and when I log in on my Mac, these are all in a row. They're not kind of organized this way. But regardless, the information is going to be the same, just the presentation might be slightly different. And so when you go in here, you'll be able to see if you click on Program at a Glance, it's going to give you opportunities to familiarize yourself with Wayne Law. You'll be able to post your self-introduction video, learn more about the professors, myself, Dean Taylor Vargo, Ryan, everybody who's working with you to make sure that you're succeeding in this program. Here with resources and technology, you'll be able to see your books, you'll be able to do training, you'll have CNIT, the technology help contact information. We have workshops from our Office of Multicultural Student Engagement, and that's under Program at a Glance. So as a reminder, when you come into the page, you scroll down, that is at the very first module. The second one here is going to take you to a lot of the same information. It's going to give you an opportunity to explore Wayne State, see more about Wayne State, post your self-introduction video, do some discussion groups, see the faculty and staff. Your book list is here. And down here at the very bottom, you can see the MSL Canvas Zoom training. So that is scheduled for tomorrow at 6 p.m. It's via Zoom. You don't have to come in. And on that, Dean Taylor Vargo, if you're unfamiliar with Zoom, if you haven't used it, she's going to give a brief little tutorial on that. She's also going to go through Canvas a little bit more in depth. So if you have questions, if you want to see different features that you can use on Canvas, if you're not familiar with Canvas, definitely make sure that you log in and do that. Canvas is kind of similar to Blackboard, if any of you have used Blackboard, but they all differ slightly. So I think sometimes when you're starting a new program, it can be overwhelming in and of itself to take on classes when you're so used to, work, and then you add on family and everything else. So if we can reduce the stress of learning a new online platform, we want to do that for you. So make sure that you log into that Zoom training tomorrow. If you have access or if you have issues and you can't access this, email me tomorrow and I can send you the Zoom link via email as well. But I want to make sure you all have this, know where to find it. And if you have issues, then let me know. And again, that was under the modules section here. You'll see there's student resources. Again, similar information. A lot of it is just organized differently. So you have the opportunity to figure out which kind of organizational structure is easiest for you to understand and to reach. An important thing that I do encourage all of you to do is there is information on here about campus security, health insurance, all of these different things. COVID-19. So if you have questions about the requirements, if you're coming onto campus, we also have common contacts. There's a video on here from the Career and Professional Development Office, telling you the resources that they have for you, resume review, mock interviewing, all of those different things. Here you'll see professors. So if you need their contact information, it's super easily accessible, as well as all of the staff for the program. Going back, your discussion groups, and then your books. So if you have not found your books yet, this is one place you can do that. You can also go onto the course campus page and they'll be listed there. But for the sake of ease, we added them all to this page as well so that you can find the titles, the ISBNs, where to find copies of them, all of that, so that you have that. Okay. That's my super quick, brief tutorial of the Wayne Law MSL 101 page. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding that? Yes. Yeah, so the question is where to find syllabi. So the syllabi, as I had mentioned, when you log into Canvas, you're going to have different pages. You're going to have a Wayne Law MSL 101 page. You're also going to have them for your individual courses. So when you click on that individual course, that's where you'll find the modules, the syllabi. Again, you'll be able to find the books there. That's where you'll access the calendars that Professor White was talking about earlier. And so on those individual pages, so right now here, you can't access like the actual course through MSL Wayne Law 101. But if I were a student and I went back to my main page on Canvas, then I could access, for instance, let's say you're in Lex 8902. Then I could click on Lex 8902. And that would take me to a similar page to this, where I would then go through, click on the different tabs and be able to find the syllabus, the books, the modules, all of that. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, easy enough. So that is all that I have for you. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for sticking around. If you have any questions at all about anything, I am here to help you all succeed. Dean Taylor Vargo is here to help you all succeed. Ryan is here to help you all succeed. Professors are very accessible. Students who have gone through the program before you want to see you succeed as well. Make sure that you just use these resources. If you're overwhelmed, reach out. Maybe we can take it from 2 classes to 1 class. Maybe we need to look at your study methods, different things like that. But either way, just know you're not alone in this. It can be intimidating. It can be scary to add on a new program, but there are lots of people in your corner rooting for you, including all of us. We want to see you succeed. So just make sure that you reach out to us when you need anything. Okay. All right. And good luck with your first semester. And we will see you all soon. Okay. Thank you. Also, I know there were some extra lunch, sandwich boxes out there. If you would like one, take one on your way out. Have a good one and get home safe, everyone.